What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about the 2025 reimagining of The Naked Gun. In this story, we follow one man who has a particular set of skills, and that is to lead police squad and save the world. Now, when I first saw the trailers for that new version, I thought to myself, boy, this is gonna be one stupid remake. And wow, did I have no idea at how much of those words I was going to eat. It wasn't up until about a few months ago did I actually decide to dive into the original Naked Gun trilogy that was directed by David Zucker and also starred the legendary comic Leslie Nielsen and the sensational Priscilla Presley. My first impression knowing what this series was without actually looking it up was I knew that they were cop comedies, but I had no idea that they were more of a parody, where the rules of reality were pretty much bent over for laughs. And don't even bother asking me about my knowledge of the original Police Squad series that ran for like 6 episodes that came out before the trilogy even happened. I just found out that existed. With the collaboration of co-producer Seth MacFarlane, who has brought us Family Guy, the co-writers of How I Met Your Mother, and Akiva Schaffer, a member of The Lonely Island, and also the director who has brought us 2012's The Watch and Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping, I was actually really curious as how they were going to steer and handle this caliber of a reboot. And the first step in the right direction was that this was more of a legacy sequel in disguise. Liam Neeson is Frank Drebin Jr., and he's not trying to fill Leslie Nielsen's shoes. In other words, he's actually trying to get the permission to become just like his father, but also try to stand on his own, which hence the trailer, he's actually talking to a portrait of Leslie Nielsen. The style of humor and how it's executed harkens back to not just the original's DNA, but also to many parodies that were alive and well in the 90s and early 2000s, where there was more than just a joke on the page, where there was more than just a cameo that would surprise everyone, or even just the movie star that's selling it, but rather the various sight gags that are consistently happening in the backdrop. The offbeat nature of what was going on, with or without context, was just enough for anyone to point out at the screen and go, what? What's going on? And, for one example being, without giving too much of the good stuff away, there was a lot of scene changes that involved Frank's character, where every single time he would walk into a room or onto a scene, there would be an infinite supply of coffee just being handed to him every single time. Like, even the cup sizes began to vary. This isn't as slapstick level as something of a Mel Brooks classic, but when it wants to be shameless, it does lean into stupid. And that's when the laws of reality, physics, and story logic just get completely thrown out the window. As you can see in the trailers, there's arms and limbs being ripped off of a body and just being used as weapons. Or a Girl Scout that turns out to be Frank Drebin Jr. in a skin suit, kind of like Mission Impossible and Charlie's Angels. There was one montage that nearly killed me. I just could not stop laughing far after the sequence was over because of just how much time and effort was just put into it. Basically, Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, they go on a little romantic getaway out into, some snowy, atmospheric, like cabin in the woods type of situation. And, they're having a good time. They randomly summon a spirit that takes form in a snowman, and just how random and how that whole thing transpires was just way out there for me. I just could not believe it, but it was good. It was like that good Family Guy type of humor. Getting into some of the talent here. Now, I found it perfect casting that the main villain was played by Danny Houston and his right-hand man was played by Kevin Durand. And these gentlemen have rangeful roles in a plethora of their filmography, and somehow they managed to get typecasted as the villain again. Their attire is black on black, they're stupid rich, their reactions to the ridiculousness is just priceless, and you even got Danny Houston just readjusting a fake scar, like little prosthetic thing that's on his face, because it's not real, it's just part of his look. And although these gentlemen can play dark and sinister, you can tell that they had just a tremendous amount of fun. We also got Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Ed Hawkins Jr., and he was pretty good at what he was given, but I thought he was very underutilized. Now, he is in the recent Fantastic Four movie, and I thought that even though he does have minimal screen time there than he does compared to this movie, he was funnier in that movie than he was in this, and I thought that was pretty sad. CCH Pounder plays Chief Davis, and she too is an actress that is in various projects and has not received her flowers, but I thought she was one heck of a surprising pick, especially to be the one that's hounding our protagonist and trying to keep him in line. I also like that there was this reoccurring gag about not trying to wake up her husband while he's trying to rest for the big day, and she's just over there screaming at Frank Drebin Jr. and just doing it in a very whispering tone. And no matter where she went, she just tried to keep her stress level on the very low. Pamela Anderson was also a surprise here. Now, I may have not been aware of her career during the golden era of her being the sex symbol, but I mean, the first time I've ever caught her in a movie was her cameo in 2002's live-action Scooby-Doo, followed by Scary Movie 3. She doesn't try to tread the same beats as Frank Sr.'s love interest, Jane. She brings her own flavor, which really makes her a lot more quirky and committed to the bit just as much as Neeson. And I think that Anderson and Neeson have great chemistry, even though it's being played up for laughs, like when they have dirty talk about Thanksgiving dinner. Last but not least, we got Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr. Man, oh man, I remember when this guy was doing a lot of dramatic and romantic roles in the early 2000s, and then immediately becoming an action star overnight with the success of his Taken franchise. And after doing a few skits online, as well as a cameo in Ted 2, he immediately becomes the runner-up of Leslie Nielsen's legacy. And like I said, I ate my words when I laughed out loud with the way that Neeson landed his physical and situational humor, the execution of his deadpan jokes and one-liners, but he could have done more. I just wasn't trying to throw him in the same ballpark of expectations as to someone like Will Ferrell, especially for his first comedic-led feature. But now, I want more Liam Neeson. I want more comedies with him in it, more parodies with him in it. Heck, I want more Detective Drebin Jr. Now, if I had to nitpick or just be very mixed and negative with some of these opinions, I would have to say that the villain sinister plot was very familiar and similar to other films that have fashioned that same plot device. And although I had fun with it, I've just seen it done better. You know, like it just didn't serve me. I already knew what to expect, so just didn't hold any surprise. It didn't really do anything for me if they were just going to tread the same beats. I know Neeson is a star and everything, but I was actually hoping for a little more involvement of his police squad other than the chief and Paul Walter Hauser's character. But, you know, maybe my expectations were somewhere too close to Police Academy or something. Other than that, I would have to say that although I did enjoy the cameo appearances, there are some things that are allowed to be over the top, and I was just hoping just for a little more of that Hollywood buffet. Probably not as near as Happy Gilmore 2, but a little bit more. Overall, I think this is the most I've ever laughed in a PG-13 comedy theatrical experience since The Simpsons movie. This is just a fun, dumb, laugh-a-minute machine. This is far from like my top 10 favorite parodies of all time, but I hope this proves that a lot of big budget comedies can make a comeback on the big screen, that it is worth more than just for streaming. And if that means that we get more Wayans Brothers after Scary Movie 6 or more Naked Gun reboot sequels, then bring it on. Well, alright guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. It's probably not playing in theaters anymore, but probably will be hitting streaming soon. I know what I just said about streaming, but damn, I think it's just one of those movies that is worth watching with a crowd. It's worth watching with some of your favorite people and, you know, just sharing a laugh in general. So, yeah. I want to thank you guys again for taking some time out of your day to hear me talk some movies. I am Jaren Banawag. Look forward to more reviews, and I'll see you guys at the theater. Take care.